Over the last few years, I've had a few requests for a lesson on basic music theory for guitarists. So I thought, let's do a lesson on basic music theory for guitarists. So I'm going to cover off the following: chromatic scales and the pattern of notes on the fretboard. Major scales, patterns that you need to know within the major scale. Intervals, chords within each key and how to find them. The relative minor scale, pentatonics. So hopefully this video will make sense and will show you a few things that if you're new to playing the guitar that you didn't already know. So the first thing I want to look at is the chromatic scale. So here we have all the notes that are on the guitar. Now there are different pitches of these notes. For example, you've got an A here and you've got an A here and here and here. Okay, but they're all an A. So the reason I'm starting on A is just because that's the first note in the musical scale. And in between A and B we have an A sharp or B flat, and it's the same note. So if you're going to play an A, I'm just playing that open A there. I've got an A sharp, but that A sharp is also a B flat because straight after that note is B. Okay, so it goes A sharp, B. Now it could also be A, B flat, B, and we'll explain that in a little while why it would be an A sharp or a B flat. But if we just play through these notes, so each of these is a distinct note. The black notes are a distinct note. The reds is the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to start on the A and I'm going to play A on this A string. So A sharp, B. Now you notice there's no sharp here. C, so it just goes B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. Again, there's no sharp in between E and F, so we're going to play straight to F from E, F sharp, G, G sharp, and then we're back to the beginning. Now normally I wouldn't put that there, but I just wanted to demonstrate that there is a sharp / flat in between the G and the G sharp, the G and the A. So back to the A, so. Okay, so that pattern of notes is exactly the same everywhere on the guitar. So if you start on an A, that pattern of notes will always be the same. So let's start on an A here, on the second fret of the G string. Now you'll also notice that it's 12 frets because there are 12 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then we're back to the start. So if I play an open E, 12 frets up will be an E. If I play an F, 12 frets up. Okay. So let's start on a different note. Let's start on E. So I'm going to start on the bottom E string. So it's going to go E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E. Okay, so that pattern is always the same, and wherever you start, you will end up if you go up 12 frets. Okay, so that's chromatics. So let's do one more, just as a final example. We're going to start on C sharp on the B string, so second fret of the B string. So we're going to start here, and we're going to come back to here. C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp. Okay, and that 12 note difference is called an octave, okay, and it stands for oct, which is 8 because there are 8 notes in a scale. Okay, so that's what's called an octave. Although there's 12 notes, you wouldn't play them all in a major scale, and the word octave comes from a major scale. So now we're going to look at the major scale. So a major scale is the do, ra, mi, fa, so that you would probably recognise. Okay, so I've just played a C major, and the reason I've chosen a C major is because there are no sharps or flats. It's just regular notes, okay? And that makes it easier to learn. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, so that's the notes there. Every major scale follows a pattern of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So if you're wondering what they are, a tone is an interval of 2 notes or 2 frets. A semitone is half of that, so 1 fret difference. So if I start in C and I'm going to play tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. If I play it on here, so it's easy on one string, so it's easier to see. So tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Back to the beginning, okay? Now that pattern works for any note. So let's play an F on the first fret. So tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Okay, we'll do one more again. We'll start on an E flat, just because it's a bit more complicated in terms of the notes, but the pattern is exactly the same. So that is your major scale. It's a sequence of 8 notes that always follows the pattern tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And in that scale are all of your chords, all of your intervals, modes, relative minors, etc. We're not going to go into the modes and things today because that's slightly more complicated. But let's have a look at the intervals. So we're going to go from a major root note to the second note in the scale. So that, oh sorry, I'm going to C, aren't I? So C to D, and that's a tone, as you know. Then I've got a C to an E, and that's called a major third. And the reason it's called a major third is because it's 1, 2, 3, the third note in the scale. Okay, if I play from a C to an F, that's the 4th. If I play from the C to the G, that's the 5th. If I play from the C to the A, that's a 6th. The C to the B, as you probably guessed, is a 7th. And then the C to the next C, as we've already discussed, is an octave. So how do those notes sound when they're played together? Okay, so that is your intervals. So as you can see now, underneath each of these notes, C, D, E, F, G, etc., I've put a letter in blue. So a capital M, a little m, or a D. So the capital M stands for major chord, the little m stands for minor chord, and the D stands for a diminished. So again, in every major scale you have this pattern of chords: major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to play a triad for each of these, and a triad is just a simple 3-note chord. So C, C major. The second chord in the key is a D minor. Then we have an E minor. Then I have an F major. Then I have a G major. Then I have an A minor. And then finally I have a B diminished. And then it starts again. Okay, so major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Etc. Okay, so does that work in every key? Yes. So if we use the key of D major, so it'd be D major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Okay, if we did it in E, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Okay, so that pattern always works. So how do we find the chord? So, let's say we're using C major. So, we use the note 1, 3 and 5. So in the key of C we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that will give you the notes 1, 3, 5 because we're starting on C because it's a C chord. Okay, so that's C, E and G. So anytime we play C, E, G, we have a C major chord. Let's go to D. So we know we have a D, and in this key, it's a D minor. So now we're going to start on the D. So we have 1, because now we're starting on the D. D is the 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a D, an F, and an A, and that will give us a D minor. So we have C major, D minor, E. So E is 1 because it's E minor chord. Okay, so E is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So E, G, B. I'll skip that A because we've got 2 A's and I only need to use one of those. Okay, in fact, get rid of that, we don't need that. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So E, G and B. So C, E, G, D, F, A, E, G, B. What's the next chord? So the next chord is an F. Okay, and this is an F major chord. So F is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 is F, 3 is A, 5 is C. Okay, G. G is 1, A is 2, so B is 3, D is 5. So G, B, D. Okay, that's G major chord. The next chord is an A minor. So on A is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, C, E. And finally, a B diminished. So we've got B, it's 1, 3, so B, D, and F. And that is a B diminished. Try it. And then we would finish back on the C. So now we're going to look at relative minor keys. So each major key has a relative minor. So relative minor is the same notes but in a different order. And we start on the 6th note of the scale. So in the key of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A is the 6. Okay? So if we start on this C here, there's the 6th note there, the A. So if we start the scale again, but from here, that's your minor key. Because it's exactly the same notes, there's no sharps, there's no flats, but we're starting on the 6th. Okay, so in here we have tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone. And again, that pattern will always be the same in a minor scale. So I'll just stick those notes on there now and I'll explain why a minor is different to a major. So for comparison, I've changed the C major scale to an A major scale so you can see the difference between the A major and the A minor. So in an A major scale, we have the same sequence, tone, tone, semitone, okay, but this does contain some sharps, and the reason it contains sharps is just because of where it starts. So I started on C, so I don't need sharps or flats. If I start on an A, to follow the same pattern of tone, tone, semitone, I do need to put some sharps in. Okay, so we've got 3 sharps, which is a C sharp, an F sharp, a G sharp, and then back to the A. So in a minor scale, it's a flattened third, a flattened 6, and a flattened 7. Okay, and that's the difference between a minor and a major. This is the relative minor of C. A also has a relative minor, and again it would be on the 6th note. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it would be an F sharp minor. So this pattern, if I start that on an F sharp, that is the relative minor of A major. Okay. So those are the differences between major and minor scales. Now we're going to have a look at pentatonics. So the word penta means 5, as in pentagon, pentagram, pentatonic. So we have a major pentatonic because we're starting on C, so we're going back into the key of C major here. Okay, so in the key of C major we're going to play the notes 1, 2, 3, 5 and 6. Okay. Now, because we have a C major pentatonic, we have a relative minor. So in the key of C, relative minor is A, as we've already looked at. So, a minor pentatonic, you might recognise this pattern. Okay. And that we have a 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. Okay, so those are the 5 notes within the pentatonic. So you have the major, and that's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. And the minor. Now what you'll notice is they're exactly the same notes again. C, D, E, G, A. C, D, E, G, A. So the minor pentatonic has the same notes as the major pentatonic. Again, we're starting in a different place. Yeah, that is where the pentatonic scale comes from. It comes from the major scale and the minor scale, which is why we have a major and a minor pentatonic, even though they are the same notes.